Okay, we are ready to finish our skull. Okay, so we finished up a sphere and we practiced making a nice gradual change from dark to light. And basically, your head, your noggin, it is also a sphere. So we are going to use that same technique. I also have, now keep in mind that when we did our value scale, or when we did our sphere, we also did the value scale at the bottom. So you're just going to translate that into this. So the darkest areas, that'll be black. The next darkest will be the dark brown, and then the orange in these areas, and then the white. So I have my skull drawn, and now we are going to add some color. And I'm going to start putting in some of these dark lines. And this is your cheekbone going back to this point here that ties in, that blends in. So there's not really a line right there. There's a darker value right underneath it.
Now use your dark brown, go over all of your lines. Make sure that you're really looking for the darkest of the darks in the drawing. When you use your black, the black could be a little bit overbearing.
Now I'm going to switch to my white Conte crayon, and I'm going to put in some white areas. I think this actually could be a little bit more narrow right through here. I could make that a little bit more narrow. See how easily this erases for me. I could just come over just a little bit more. A little bird shape, a little bit higher. A bit more. Okay, now I'm going to put on the white so I block out some of those areas with the white. Definitely want it white there, underneath the eye, at the top of the eye. Inside the eye is going to be darker. Back here, I want this white back here. And don't blow off all your charcoal yet. You're going to use that to blend with white in through here. The nostril, or the nose cavity, just on the outside of it, it's dark, and then on the other side, it's important to make sure there's a high key value on the other side of that dark value. And then a little bit under the eye. Okay, now I'm going to start adding on some of my darker values inside here. Got my brown, I also want my black, because I really want to go with my darker values now. So I'm going to shade in my darker values. Again, I'm not blending it yet. So it's dark at the top, and then it gets brown down below here, because I want to make it a gradation from dark to light. But it's not going to be totally light in there at all. And then a little bit of orange. These colors would have been closer to what Leonardo da Vinci would have used. So I really love making the skulls out of these colors because it gives them an ancient look, an antique look. And I want to make sure that I can see that nose, so I want to go around that edge just a little bit, make sure I'm leaving a white edge for my nose. And then I can go back in with my tissue and I can blend. Remember, if you want to keep it archival, you want to use something other than your finger. If you are just sketching and doodling on your own, I really love to get my finger in there and get it dirty. Just puts me closer to the material. Like it. Okay, now we have a little bit of shading. I'm not going to go with the black up here. I'm going to go with the orange because it shades in the ridge of your eyebrow up here. It comes out, so that's catching the light. So it kind of looks a little bit like he's got a unibrow, but he doesn't. Just sort of looks a little bit like that. Always start light. You can always darken things up, but it's not always so easy to lighten them up once you've made them dark. Now I've got really dark on my finger. I'm going to be really careful not to overdo that. Okay. Now under the eye, I'm going to go with my medium tones when I'm shading in around the face. This is in a negative space. That's a negative space. That's a negative space. That is, and that is, and that is. So those are going to be really dark. But here, that's very subtle. That's just your cheekbone dipping into your mouth and your jaw. So I'm going to make those lines really, really subtle. And when you're making those shapes, think about these values as shapes. So this is sort of like, here it looks a little bit like a sideways teardrop. So I don't necessarily want to draw that shape in, I just want to shade in that shape. It needs to be way darker in the nose here. But I also want to create a white space right here. And because I really love this orange, I just want to put a little bit more of that orange in with that brown. I might find that I need to come back on the edges and add some more black. In fact, I can tell right now that I want to add some more black right up here to the edge. What you want to avoid doing is just outlining things in black. Because remember, there's no such thing as lines in nature. This is totally a man-made concept. Now over here, it's really dark behind this eye socket and the ridge of the eye there. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of black there, and then go in with my dark brown. Gradual change. And this is why you want your conte to be broken, because if I use this end just at the tip, I'm always going to have lines. But if I want to have it a little bit more subtle, gosh, oh, I hate to do it, but I have to break it again. I want a shorter piece. And I'm going to use circular motion here to really not, I don't want to accentuate the lines there. I just really want it to look like a shade. And then you have to break it a little bit more. I'm going to bring it out with the orange. Okay, dark value down here. This is the negative space underneath that jawbone. Now the back of the head, we're going to do that a lot like we did this. The back of the head is going to be dark. We dark through here and then get lighter. So we want just a little bit of hint of dark around the outside edges. Little bit of dark. Looks like it actually dips up just a little bit there, so I'll make that line a little bit wider there. And a little more there. I'm going to just put a little bit of black down here to really bring that out, accentuate that line there a little bit more. And then orange. I still haven't blended with my tissue or my finger yet. Still just using the charcoal, layering the different values of charcoal. And then my white. I see a little bit more over here. A little bit more value in through there. And then white. I'm going to go ahead and blend that white right into my orange to get that peach tone. Really smooth that out, sort of get rid of the tooth of the paper. The tooth of the paper is the roughness of the paper. So smooth that out, get a nice gradation of value. And a little bit more here. I'm a little bit afraid to add too much dark, so I'm going to gradually build that up. Layering those colors on top of each other. Don't want to lose too much of my peach color. But where you can see the white through there, that's the tooth of your paper. And again, the tooth is the roughness or smoothness of your paper. And you want a little bit of tooth because you want it to catch on there. Okay, Mr. Unibrow needs a little bit of fixing up here. So this eyebrow is going to come out just a little bit more here. Shade that just a little bit. This drawing here doesn't have a lot of white on the edge there, but I feel like it needs to have a little bit of white. It needs to show the edge of that. Smooth in my nostril a little bit. Alright, let's add a little bit of value at the top here, and I think that'll even out Mr. Unibrow's head there, because he does have a bit of a unibrow. You want to leave that white through there. In fact, if I want it white, I'm going to go ahead and shade it in white. And then It's a white skull, so we want to be careful about our darks. Quite a bit more shading up there. And then it wraps it around. And try to make sure that on your table you don't have stuff underneath your paper, because that is a problem for you. Hey, here's another problem with using your fingers to shade. Now I don't have a clean finger to shade with. So I'm going to get it dirty if I try to shade that. Alright, let's smooth out Mr. Unibrow here a little bit. Alright. I want to add some more white on there to smooth that out, to gradate that and make that a gradual change from dark to light. Subtle. It's very subtle. Oh, so very subtle. Okay, a little too orange up there. Looks like he's got a fake and bake tan. We need to fix that a little bit. And a little bit of shading down here. A little bit of orange. Still not working on my teeth yet. I'm going to work on the teeth later. And this little shape right here, shade that in. It's sort of a sharp cheekbone down there. So you want to blend in those subtleties there. Notice how putting that white on top really blends that in. More like, kind of like clay, I think. That's what it feels like to me. And we could use just a little bit of shading down here. I've already got white down there, so I'm not going to get it too dark. The edge of shapes have a darker value because it's chiaroscuro happening there. It's light wrapping around a round object. If you were in my sixth grade class, you would remember, or I'm sorry, 7th grade, you'll remember chiaroscuro from our still lifes. And it doesn't have a whole lot of dark value there. I just want to make it look like it wraps around a little bit. We're almost ready for the teeth. Now I want you to spend this entire hour just on the skull. Don't worry about the teeth today. We'll look at the teeth tomorrow. And I'm going to use some white to shade in his chin. And then blend. And then a little bit more. A little bit more darkness down here. And I think we are good. Okay, so, oh, one more thing that's really cool. I love these. These little lines here. Sort of skinny at the top, fatter at the bottom. Notice when people get old, they've got these wrinkles right here. Well, it's the collagen leaving their skin and it's showing the skull underneath. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool and kind of creepy. Here's the side. Alright, I think I got a little too much on there. Before I blend, I want to erase a little bit out because it's really sort of like a triangle shape there. And then I'm really going to blend that all in with my charcoal so it's more subtle. Voila! So, the basic thing that you need to know is the top of the tooth is convex. The bottom of the tooth, the bottom teeth, the bottom of the bottom teeth is concave. So, I would suggest your dark brown, go over the tops with your convex, and the bottom with your concave. And if you like, you can put a little extra white in there. Not the entire thing, I would just put it in the middle, and that'll make it look even more round.